amazing Dragon community. I would like to take this opportunity to talk to you about our amazing Nzuli Scholarship Program. From Panama, Balboa Academy is proud to launch the Nzuli Scholars Program, full international scholarships for exceptional students in any of the 118 schools around the 24 countries that belong to the Inspired Education Network.
Not all children have the economic means to study at a premier educational institution. I believe that the scholarships provided by the Inspired Network offer high-impact opportunities for children around the world.
The Nzuli Scholarship Program is more than a scholarship. It's an opportunity to shape the leaders of tomorrow. You're one step away from transforming your life. Apply now. I really hope you guys take advantage of this. I would love to see some Nzuli scholars here at Balboa. Go Dragons.
Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us. We are thrilled today to be here with you to discuss something that's very near and dear to our hearts, our educational philosophy here at Balboa Academy. Our goal is to give you an insight today of what makes our approach to learning exceptional and how we nurture academic excellence, leadership, our community, and college preparation. I'm Miss Luna. I'm the elementary principal here. I've been a Dragon for about 8 years now. Started my journey here as a kindergarten aide and then taught first grade for a while. I've been an academic coordinator and super happy this year to step into a role where I can support our teachers and our students. I've been really excited for what we've seen this year so far. And I'm really happy that Mr. Lentz has joined our team as well. He's our school director. Welcome, Mr. Lentz.
Thank you, Ms. Luna.
I think, Mr. Lentz, if you want to kind of tell our friends what about yourself and being here at Balboa.
Absolutely. Let me just start by saying I'm a much newer Dragon than Miss Luna. I'm on month 4, I think. And it has been a bit of a fun, wild ride. And before I talk about myself for a minute, maybe talk about us as a community. As a new person coming in, you'll hear my range of experience, but I hope that I bring perspective. And I love Balboa, and I can tell you that there's something truly special here. I'm not just saying that because I'm the director, or because I'm supposed to say that. I'm saying it because I believe it. I've worked in a lot of schools in a lot of countries, and Balboa is very different. We just had and I'll probably bring this up later in the presentation, but we just had our weekly assembly, and I met with all the high school kids, and I made them raise their hands and then reach behind their back and then pat themselves on the back, because I told them that they're some of the nicest, best behaved, well-mannered students I've ever worked with in my life. And I mean that completely. So a little bit about me. You've probably heard my name before. We may have met. Mark Lentz, head of school here in Balboa, director. I have been in education longer than I would like to tell you. I started a long time ago as a counselor, and I worked as a counselor in foster care and protective services in the state of Florida. I have a bachelor's in psychology and a master's in clinical social work. Went back to school, moved into schools as the school counselor in that role and consulted with several public schools, and then worked in a boarding school for sort of troubled youth in the state of California, and started doing some teaching to fill out the schedule, fell in love with it, went back to school to get my master's in education and my teaching certificate. And then I taught for many years before becoming vice principal again, and then later principal, and then head of school. I've worked in Florida, California, Switzerland, Trinidad and Tobago, Egypt, Qatar, and now here. And I have worked for for-profits, not-for-profits, public, private, you name it, AP schools, IB schools. Yeah, just really excited to be here as the newest dragon in the SLT. So I hope you enjoy the presentation. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, we love having you here, Mr. Lentz. It's been a welcome change that I feel like our community really appreciates. I know the teachers do. You and I stand at the door every morning greeting our smallest dragons, and there's hugs and high fives all day long, and it's really a special moment that I know the kids are so happy to see you here. It's nice that that your office is here in our building so that we all get to have you around all the time. It's really nice. Well, awesome. I think we want to start out talking about our exceptional student achievement. If you want to start us off on that, Mr. Lentz, maybe
Absolutely.
Those highlights for high school.
Absolutely. Today the topic is the heart behind our educational philosophy, right? But if you really boil that down, there are things that make every school unique. From a marketing standpoint, they often call those unique selling points. And we've just sort of done a lot of work looking at our previous unique selling points and then really thinking about what is it about Balboa that makes Balboa unique. And so most of the things we're going to talk today are those topics, what makes us unique. And one of those things is our exceptional student achievement. If you look at the slide in front of you, you're all intelligent people. I'm not going to read the slide for you. I'll just give you a second to sort of scan it, and then I'll summarize it. But one of the things it mentions is above average MAP score. The other thing it talks about is our AP program. And then I think one of the keys to their success is really having truly individualized learning for each of our students. So if we could go to the next slide, please, Patricio. Next one too. There you go. So this is MAP scores. Let me talk a little bit about this. And I think to give you the idea quickly here, the dark green is us. That's Balboa. The light green is the worldwide average. And it's important to note that the worldwide average includes all the best schools in the world. Every AP school in the entire world is there. So the best international schools in the world, their figures are in there. And again, I say I hope I bring perspective. In all my years doing this, I've never seen a school where you're above the worldwide average in every single subject in every single grade level. That is truly exceptional. And amazing learning does not happen without amazing teachers, without a positive, supportive learning environment. And I think that's just something that's truly special. So that is definitely a unique selling standpoint, is the amazing student achievement that we have.
It really is. This outlines from 1st to 8th grade, which are our MAP test scores. Once you hit 9th grade, you start taking pre-SATs and SATs after that. So this is our measurement of data, where our children starting kindergarten, and this year we just started kindergartners. They take a math, a reading, and a language usage test in the fall, and then we take it again later on in May and June, and it measures their growth. For us, it's been amazing to see what our teachers can do, especially here, since we're looking at the math scores in our building in kindergarten through 4th grade. We have an amazing teacher, Miss Pinzon, and she's part of our gifted enrichment. She's our teacher for gifted and enrichment, but she also coordinates an amazing program called TMS, Targeted Math Skills. And it's kind of like, you could also call it a win situation, what I need. And so each grade level starting in 1st grade, we take that whole grade level of 60 60 students, and we split them into about 5 groups. We look at those MAP test scores. We think about what they need and those individual skills that it measures. And we go through rotations where once a week, they're either meeting with Ms. Pinson for those kids who are working on skills that are above their grade level. They're meeting with our SEN staff, who are supporting kids who need to reach that grade level. And then we kind of split up the rest amongst our homeroom teachers who work with small groups to make sure that kids are going to that next level in our math skills. It's something that our school does that's super unique, and it really does an amazing job of hitting those, individual levels, that individualized kind of education that each child needs, especially in math, because that's something that, can be frustrating sometimes. And so we recognize that and support it. And this is one of those ways where we see the proof and the success of that year-long program here in our MAP scores every year.
Excellent. Thank you, Ms. Luna. Before we go to the next slide, one of the things I forgot to point out is I mentioned this shows us against the worldwide average. It's important to point out, and we have an entire presentation that we've done with parents for this. We have I don't know how many slides, Ms. Luna, like 18 slides. We're not going to give you all of those because we don't want to focus just on that. But an important thing to point out, you can also look at this data just comparing us to the top US schools. And again, the data does the same thing. We're above the average. And you can compare us to the other schools that use MAP in Panama. And we are above every other school in Panama in regards to MAP data. So I think that's important to point out.
It's super important. I think we can look at the next slide, which tells us about reading as well. So, which again, we see that we are above that worldwide average across the board, which I find amazing. I mean, we have over 40 different countries represented here at our school. There's, many different languages that are, your mother language, right? So you come to us and English, and this is a test that's done strictly in English. And so we see, in first grade where we're hitting those growth points all the way up through 8th grade, and going back to our kind of individualized learning, we make sure here in elementary and throughout middle school that, kids are met with what they need. We have, our English language learning teachers who support kids all the way through 8th grade. We have Miss Pinson as well, who's our like I said, our gifted enrichment teacher. She runs book clubs with our 2nd and 3rd graders. So once a week, they're reading, chapter books and learning how to, analyze the text and answer comprehension questions. And it really is an amazing tool that we have here, and I know that our kids benefit from that each week. I saw it as a teacher in the classroom, and I've seen it as a parent as well. I have 2 dragon kids of my own, one of which needed that support in middle school when we came here, and she got what she needed. And for us, it was it's just part of what makes our community so amazing. The teachers really go above and beyond to make sure that each child is learning, is getting what they need. It really is a special school in that way. So
great. And another thought to point out, when you look specifically, on some level, math is math, whether you're in an IB program, an IEP program, a British program, an American program. But one of the things to look at with reading is keep in mind, if this is the worldwide average, the vast majority of other schools taking this MAP test are not students who are English as a second or an additional language. And the majority of our students are not native English speakers. So the fact that already in 1st grade, we're above the worldwide average is phenomenal. But if you look at that growth, the growth sort of increases exponentially. And I think it just really shows how quickly our English as additional language learners grow in this school. And to be able to outperform native language learners is I don't know, it's unheard of. That you don't
It's
see this in
exceptional.
other schools. It's truly special.
It really is. It really is. I think this year I'm excited because we introduced the science map test. So we don't have those results for you yet. We will when we get back in the fall, because these, of course, are the results from last school year, because it measures from fall to spring. And since we haven't taken the spring for this year yet, we'll have those results for you when we come back for the new school year. But I'm excited because we're going to have science as well, which today is a super special day in our building. We have a whole STEAM day going on where kids are exploring, science, technology, engineering, art, and math in a fun rotation that's happening from 8 o'clock to 12 o'clock today. And so I'm excited how that's going to support those scores for us next year, along with our STEAM lab that we have here in the elementary school. We have our science teacher, Miss Fennell, who as a first grade teacher, I used to go into her class and support my class there. And every class that I went, I learned something new. And I was there with first graders. It was incredible. I mean, I would listen to her lesson and say, "Are you sure?" And I taught first grade for about 5 years. And every year that I went, she would add something new, to the lesson, even though, we have our standard-based learning, Common Core subjects that we cover every year. She would add something new every year. It's incredible. It's incredible to watch her connect with kids through that science STEM lab. I think maybe we want to talk about our AP program a little bit, Mr.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
So that's fine. We can stay on this slide, but let me just talk AP real quick before we go on to our next sort of unique selling point. The other thing to point out, we talked about MAP scores, and as Miss Luna said, that's 1 through 8. In high school, we use our PSAT data, our SAT data, and then probably most importantly, our AP data. Because we're an AP school, if you don't know what that means, AP stands for Advanced Placement. It's through the College Board. It's recognized. College Board is essentially an organization that's created U.S. curriculum to prepare kids for college in the United States. We follow Common Core curriculum here. We follow the College Board. And I think also the fact that we have the best AP program in the country is another thing that really sets Balboa Academy apart from other international schools as arguably the most truly American school in the country. So if you're looking to send your child to a university in the US or Canada, this is definitely the best place for them to be prepared. Our entire curriculum revolves around that. Now, in today's world, we multitask. Of course, our kids are prepared to go to Europe and anywhere else in the world as well. But I think our AP scores really set them up for university in the US and in Canada. And we're above the worldwide average on that as well. Your average pass rate in APs is 61%. Our lowest rate is 80%, and we're higher than that in most classes. And so that's another really astonishing statistic. And what that means is over 80% of our kids who take AP classes get college credit when they go to the US. So if your child goes here and they can take upwards to 6 or 8 APs, if they enter college with 6 or 8 classes finished, it's entirely possible actually that they skip an entire year of college, which I did actually when I was a kid. I finished college in 3 years, and that saves mommy and daddy a lot of money. So there are sort of financial benefits to our exceptional student achievement as well for our parents. So yeah, that's a little spiel about our AP program. Ms. Luna, you want to start with nurturing leadership as our next sort of unique thing about Balboa?
Absolutely. I love seeing our kids step up with confidence, and we see that happening at a very early age. And just last week, because every Wednesday in our school, part of our tradition, which I love, it came about when we became an inspired school, is that we have a weekly assembly. And so this year we have it on Wednesdays. And, it's about 3 times a month. It's just with my elementary students. And then once a month, we have the whole school there where we recognize kids. But something special that's happening this semester, now that kids are in the routine and, building that confidence, in last week's elementary assembly, we had about 30 parents who joined us to see their child get recognized for different things. And we had, 4th grade, 3rd grade students standing up and talking, presenting. They were, they're talking about our core values. We act right, which is something that we reinforced during our assembly time. And we moved on to H, which stands for hard work. And I had, 2 of our student council leaders come up and in 4th grade and speak in front of the entire elementary and the parents who were there. I mean, that's about 300 people. So for a 4th grader, 9 years old, to stand up and do that, I find that amazing. And it's this kind of initiative and teamwork that's really inspiring. And we see that really across all of the buildings. Each building has elementary, middle, and high school. When I say building, they, because we are separated by that in our amazing campus, but each building has their own student council. And it begins here in elementary as well. So once you hit 2nd grade, you can join the student council, become a delegate. You meet with our librarian, Mr. Foster, who, I mean, we just can't call him a librarian, right, Mr. Lentz?
He deserves a superhero cape.
He's a superhero. It's true. He bleeds blue, dragon blue. And, but he leads our student council for our youngest kiddos, and he meets with them every Friday. They plan our field days. They plan fundraisers. They plan, when we do dress up days and have spirit week. It all comes from those group of kids who meet on Fridays with Mr. Foster. And then from there, we're taking that leadership up to middle school, and the student council becomes more, I would say, organized in a way that, you get voted into your position. And my daughter was part of the student council at middle school as treasurer. And we saw an amazing change in her. I mean, not just from the leadership standpoint, but from what we saw her, she was the treasurer. So she got to, count money, make budgets, decide like how they were going to use, when they did fundraisers, what they were going to do, how much money they needed to support it. It's really, and that was in 7th grade. So those kind of skills are coming super early in these early grades. And of course, it carries through to high school as well, where our Draco is an amazing organization, along with all the little clubs that they create there. Right now on the campus, I have about 30 high school students who are from our We STEM club who organized STEAM Day for us today. They're working at each one of our rotations. They came to our science teacher with, the activity that they wanted to present and they wanted to do with each group of kids that passes through them today. Those types of leadership moments are really special here, and they happen on a daily basis. I think some of the amazing things that our student council does, and even makes a worldwide impact. They were organizing, it's called a walk a mile for a smile with Operation Smile in the fall. And so they joined with our student council, and we did a whole color team event where the kids, collected donations, and our student council went around to each one of their classmates and spoke in front of each class to promote the fundraiser. And that's happening every day. There's something new that we are, they're organizing and leading, which is really amazing to see. And we also kind of see that in sports, right, Mr. Lentz?
Absolutely. Miss Luna did such an amazing job there. I'm not sure what else I can say.
But let's talk about athletics, because I think, for us, we have 3 pillars, right? And one of those pillars is sports that make up kind of the foundation of an inspired school, which I love. We have academic excellence, and sports is one of those, and it plays a huge part in every child's life. And I think there we see a lot of leadership built throughout the team captains. What our athletic director does to promote that, I think, is really special.
Absolutely. And I think it's bigger than just sports. On the slide we said extracurriculars, and we can talk about, and I will take a second to talk about how it's built into our curriculum, right? Nurturing leadership is important to us. If it's important to us, we build it into our curriculum. And so one of the things we talk about sometimes is that we're okay to fail. And there's a funny little acronym with FAIL. Failure means first attempt in learning. And it allows kids to experiment. It allows kids to not be right. It allows kids to take chances. We have a very inquiry-based learning approach. In early childhood, we use something called creative curriculum, which is a experiential learning program, and it's amazing if you see it. You should see they just did a unit on buildings, and I can't believe that early childhood kids did that. I have middle schoolers in other schools I've been at that couldn't do projects at the quality that they're doing, and so
a 3 and 4-year-old.
It's incredible. And so we really have built that student voice, student choice, inquiry-based learning into the curriculum. And as important as that is, I think Miss Luna hit the nail on the head when she talks sports. Every school that you're going to talk to is going to try and claim that they have a well-rounded curriculum, that it's individualized. I'm not sure that anybody else does it as well as we do, right? But again, I'm a little biased. But if I think about our extracurricular activities, and that includes our sports, our arts, our drama productions that just happened, the student councils that Miss Luna was talking about, and in high school, I've never seen so many clubs. I met with the clubs the other day to help with the upcoming Dragon Fest. There's 43 clubs in high school. Just in high school alone, that doesn't count the middle school clubs or the elementary school clubs.
It's awesome.
I've never seen anything like that at a school, but every one of those clubs has a club president. Every one of those clubs has a club treasurer, right? So the amount of leadership opportunities in a school, I've worked at schools with 1,800 kids, with 2,000 kids that didn't have half the amount of clubs and leadership opportunities and sports opportunities that we have here in Balboa. And I think the other thing that Miss Luna touched on that makes it so cool is how aligned they are K through 12. The elementary school student council does work with middle school, and they do work with high school, and they all work together. I've never been at a school that had an elementary school student council. Usually you have high school. Sometimes you have middle school. If you have elementary school, it's like your 4th graders, and maybe they have elections, and then nothing happens. That is absolutely not what's happening in Balboa. There are so many, I can't even name all the things. They did the Christmas toy drive. They worked with Operation Smile. They just had another fundraiser for local communities. School supplies. My elementary school student council here is doing more than my high school student council did in my last school. And again, it's completely K through 12. And I think the reason there's so many, and actually before I go into my spiel about why I think it's so special and why it works, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is a good example. I hope you went to the play. If you didn't, you super missed out and have to go next year.
It was just this weekend. Yeah.
Everybody told me about how amazing it was going to be. And I use the word school play loosely because it's not a school play. I have been to professional drama productions on theater productions that were not as good as that I've paid a lot of money for. There were 89 students involved in that production. And there were only 3 of our teachers, I think. There's no way you have a production that size with 3 teachers and 89 kids. It's impossible. And then I found the magic. Our stage manager was a student. The head of lighting was a student. The head of outfitting and wardrobe was a student.
Makeup was done by students.
Was a student. There were student leaders involved. I've never seen that anywhere.
We had quite a few elementary students who participated. They were Oompa Loompas and things. And they had au pairs. Like the high schoolers were au pairs for them. So they had like a group of high schoolers who were assigned to each one of the smaller children who were part of the play. And so, which I think is amazing. They're built, I mean, it really was an incredible production, and it happens every year. And it just gets better every year. I think, every year when I go, I think, okay, it can't get any better than this. And it does. It does. They go above and beyond. It's really amazing.
So how does all this happen? What's the magic? And I think I'm starting to get a piece of the secret ingredient, right? Every hamburger joint has its special sauce, right? They've got their secret ingredient in their fried chicken. What's the secret ingredient that actually makes this work? Because I'm not just saying this because I'm the new head of school. I promise you, I haven't seen this anywhere else. So I can only imagine it doesn't exist anywhere else in Panama because I've never seen it anywhere else in the world. So I have to assume it's Balboa specific. And I think it's the idea that our kids can. I won't name the name of the school that I went to because you never want to say anything negative. And I loved that school as well. But one of the schools that I went to when I got there, the statement often was our kids can't. And it was for many things. Oh, we're going to have an assembly with the whole school. Oh, our kids can't all be together. They can't handle that. Well, if we believe that they can't, they'll never live up to that. Oh, we need to do this event. Oh, our kids can't do that. If you believe your kids can't, they'll never rise. If you lower the bar, they'll only go as high as the bar you raise.
That's so true.
But I've been at schools where we've changed that mentality, or luckily I got there and they didn't have that mentality, and we believe our kids can.
Absolutely.
I've never been anywhere where teachers believe our kids can the way they do at Balboa. If you had told, and I'm an optimist, but if you had told me when I got here, Miss Luna, that, hey, the play is going to be run predominantly by students. There's going to be 89 of them, and there's only going to be 3 adults involved. I would have said, our kids can't do that. I would not have believed you. But because we believe our kids can, they believe our kids believe they can. And they rise to that occasion in every club, in every leadership opportunity. Your 7th grader, if you had been told that your 7th grader could manage a budget, propose a budget, and balance that budget, you as a mom, you probably would have said, no, she can't. But the school believes she can, and she did it, and you were amazed.
Yeah, it really is beautiful opportunities that are given to the children and challenged, and they're challenged to do it. And most of the time they meet it. It's incredible. It's incredible. I think we had a question popped up about extracurricular activities in pre-K, and in our early learning, it's a half day because they're little ones, our 3 and our 4-year-olds. So normally when our extracurriculars are happening, it's probably nap time for them. So I know that in the past we have had some extracurriculars on Wednesdays that that are meant for our little ones. But we do start that extracurricular in kindergarten. So boom, when they join kindergarten, we have many different activities that happen after school from that 3 to 4:30 time frame, where different instructors are brought in, and it's not just sports based. There is, soccer club, because they're not quite ready for that league yet, but it's getting them ready for that, of course. But beyond sports, there's dance clubs and art, and one that's been super popular this year is a forestry club. And so we have someone that takes them out and they explore all the amazing nature that's around us here. We're on the edge of the jungle here, so there's lots that we can just do right outside our door each day. So those extracurriculars really start in kindergarten for our 5-year-olds, just to answer that question. So shall we move on to our amazing community?
I think so.
I think for me, that's something that when I joined, I was blown away by, what I saw, not only the teachers and the students and the administration do, but what I saw parents, and it was constant, like, how can I help? Where can I volunteer? Opening day, it's, where can I volunteer? I want to come and help. And I think that's really is, just an amazing community. And like I said before, we have about 40 different countries that are represented in our, international school. But it really feels like one big family. We kind of celebrate. I'll talk about one thing that Mr. Lentz hasn't been able to participate in yet. One of our traditions here is our United Nations Day. So were you here for United Nations Day?
No, I missed it by a week.
You missed it by a week. That's right. So around October, we have a United Nations Day here where everyone comes dressed to represent their culture. And the parents all bring food into our buildings, and we have a little parade where, again, the high schoolers, the student council leads that initiative. And so we have a little parade here inside Ciudad de Saber. And of course, Panama is represented because, of course, that's where we are. And we're also getting ready in October for our big, November holidays where we celebrate all the wonderful things that makes Panama so amazing. And so, but it's an amazing tradition that our school has. And it starts, right here, and it starts in preschool. The preschoolers as well, the families are bringing in food. The kids get to, after the parade, we come in and everyone gets to try all the different types of food from, we have kimbap from Korea. We have, of course, tortillas from Panama, but we also have, this year there were like sausages from Germany and, pancakes from Canada with maple syrup, of course, hamburgers and hot dogs from the United States, and pizza from Italy. So we have all those amazing things. That's one of the traditions that we have here that has become something that our community comes together and really enjoys. Do you want to talk about movie night, Mr. Lentz?
I'd love to talk about movie night. But before I do that, a complete aside that isn't anywhere on our agenda, but Miss Luna talked about how amazing Panama is. And I got to tell you, having lived in a lot of countries, to our Panamanian families out there, I love your country. My family and I are super happy here. And so thank you for welcoming us to Panama. And before I talk movie night, maybe when I think about our dragon community, I can talk about what it's like to be a new dragon, because I just got here, and especially as the boss, all eyes are on you, right? And I've been places where they're, everybody's reserved, holding back. What's the new guy like? And I know that Mr. Durbin was loved, right? So I knew I had big shoes to fill. And so I wasn't sure how I would be received. But I think I was received the same way our new students would be received, or the way a new teacher would be received. Everybody was kind. They were welcoming. They were there for me. They were forgiving when I didn't know what I was doing, because I'm still trying to figure some of that out, right? And it was just an amazing experience. I've never felt such warmth and so much welcome. And I think it comes back to that idea that the term I hear people use, and most schools don't refer to themselves this way. Our community refers to itself as a family. And that's not something that schools usually say. But it really does have that safe, warm, nurturing, homey feel.
Absolutely.
It's an amazing. It's like you just put on your favorite pair of jammies and have some popcorn and a hot chocolate. It's just every day that you feel that, and it's something really special. And it's a good segue to move to movie night. We have 837 kids here. There were over 800 people at movie night.
It was.
It was awesome. Incredible. I've never seen anything. I've seen movie nights before, but nothing like that. And
also student-led. It was what's an amazing thing as well.
Absolutely. And the parents were great. And people were, again, welcoming. And I met lots of parents at movie night that I hadn't had a chance to meet because they're busy, right? And their work. Yeah. But they came out and they introduced themselves, and everybody was warm and welcoming. There's something about, maybe the best way to sum this one up, if we look at our unique selling points, if you look on our website where these are being changed, it says our Dragon community. We struggled with this one the most because we couldn't find the semantics that encapsulated just how unique that is. I just saw one pop up. What does it mean to be a dragon? That is, what does it mean to be a dragon? I think that's what this comes down to. And I really think that we act right. We do. Dragons act right. I've never seen kids this well behaved. But it's not because they're afraid that they're going to get in trouble. It's not because we've incentivized it with rewards. There's something inherent in this community that we do. We act right. It is a good place to be, where people take care of each other, where people nurture one another.
We're respectful, right? But we also have fun.
and we work hard.
Yeah, we work hard. And I think the last one of right stands for team spirit. And I think that you can, bring back being a dragon to that team spirit, because everybody's, working to help the other person and to make you feel welcomed if you're new here. And being part of an international school, there's always someone new, right? And that's, I think, an amazing part of it for my children. I mean, they have friends who have left, but they're still connected with them. We go and visit them. A few years ago, a good friend's left and moved back to Mexico City. Last 2 years ago, we went and visited them in Mexico City and stayed in their house. And, those kind of connections you would never had happen out, in most communities, but everybody's here working for each other. If you're a parent, I think you feel supported not only by your teachers, but most of all by the other parents who are part of your child's grade level, or part of your child's team. As a sports mom, which is what I am as well. I know you're a sports dad. You feel that in those chats with parents when, I can't make it to the game today. Don't worry about it. I've got your child. I'll send you pictures. I'll send you videos. That kind of team spirit that you see across the board, inside, outside of the classroom. It really speaks volumes to what we do here for Dragons. So, and what we've created. I would love to say I was the one created it, but we're 25 years into that. I think we joined it, and we're just doing our best to make sure that spirit and continues, I think. So
absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Why don't we move on to college preparation?
Yeah. All righty. Well, I'll let you start, because that's very much APs, and
it is very high school specific.
But not really, because we do have a lot. It starts in elementary, with all the individualized learning and ensuring that those foundations are strong.
Absolutely.
We want readers, we want writers, we want mathematicians leaving our fourth grade and going to fifth grade ready for a little more independence, and as they work their way through middle school, they get ready for those pre-APs, which I know we're going to start introducing more of those next school year, right?
We will be actually the only school in Panama to have the full AP program, and one of the few schools in this region of Latin America to have the full AP program. I think the only other, there's one school in Colombia that has it, but none of our competitors in the region have it, other than that one school. So really excited about that. If I think about proven college prep, and I talk about, we put a lot of work into figuring out what made us unique. And my boss, you may have met Ricardo from Inspired. And I'm not, he may see this, so I'm not saying this just to suck up, but Ricardo's a great boss. He's been very supportive. But when I was presenting our ideas to him, it was actually it came from him. He said, well, what about your universities? You have amazing university acceptances. And I'd looked at the website and I was still fairly new, but I went and dug through the website and went, wow, that's really impressive. And then I was talking to Miss Mendoza about how we've been accepted to all these different Ivy League schools and really top universities over time. And she corrected me. She said, that's not over time, that's this year. And I said,
right.
What do you mean? There's no way we got accepted to that many top universities in 1 year, especially with such a small group of seniors. I think last year's graduating class was 60 something or 70, right? You don't get accepted to that many top universities with such a small graduating class. I say small. I think here people think 70 or 80 is big. I'm used to 200. But I've never had that many university acceptances, not that level of top university. And so we have to talk about the idea that we are a college preparatory school. If your student is going to our school, our job is to help you get your child into the best university that they possibly can. And we do that with a 100% college acceptance rate. Every one of our kids goes to college and we help them. Occasionally you have a kid in a family that decides to take a gap year, and that's okay. They've chosen to do that, but we help them get into school the next year, and they do. And
what's the difference between AP and IB? Do you want to explain that? There's a question there.
Absolutely. I get asked that all the time. I'm a history teacher, so I'll try and give you the shortest history lesson on AP and IB. AP came out in 1958 in the United States as a way to improve the rigor in high schools in the United States and to better prepare students for colleges and universities, and to give them that chance to have an accelerated track where they're getting to actually taking university classes and getting university credits in high school. And it spread through the United States quickly. Quite similarly, in 1962 in Geneva, they came up with the International Baccalaureate. And at that point, they were very different. AP had its strengths and IB had their strengths, and they were both very different programs. But over time, it's a bit like a PC or a Mac. Over time, they've merged. They've sort of grown to where whether you're a PC or a Mac fan, you have to accept that at this point, your Mac can do anything my PC can do and vice versa. AP used to be, its strength was its individuality. It was not targeted as a full program. Its goal was that every kid has a strength, and no matter what your strength is, we'll have a class for you. So if you're weak in English, but you're great in science, you can
choose your path, which is great. If you want to try out art history to see, you can do that, right? Or if, and then the next year you're like, wait a minute, no, that wasn't, I'm going back to biology.
Exactly.
You have that choice, which is great. And the rigor of those classes really prepares you for what's coming in college, for sure.
Exactly. IB, on the other hand, used to be a complete program. You had no option. You were in the IB program. That's it. You took the IB classes, and there was very limited flexibility about that. Over time, though, they've recognized that they need to I mean, they're competitors, right? And so they're gonna realize where the other person's outperforming them. So AP has now created a full program, so you can take the individual classes, or you can take the AP Scholars program.
Right.
We are an AP Scholar school. We have AP Scholars graduate every year. It's really rigorous if you're going to do that. It's
very rigorous.
Incredibly difficult to be an AP Scholar, but we have many kids that do it and knock it out of the park. IB now has said, okay, look, we'll let you take some classes in isolation. You don't have to take the full program. Having said all of that, I've worked in both, I've taught both, and I've administered both. They're both great programs. There's nothing inherently wrong with either. If your kid takes IB, he could still get into a US university. If your kid takes AP, they can still get into any European university. Why are we an AP school? Again, we come back to that idea that Balboa Academy was started. Where are we at? It used to be an American military base, right? It was started in the zone. And it has always identified itself as a truly American curriculum. And I think if you're going to do that, it doesn't make sense to overlay a truly American curriculum with an IB.
Right.
It makes sense to finish with APs. And so while they're both great programs, we've chosen the one that I think really distinguishes us from other schools in the country.
Would you like to address the question regarding a new 10th grader? Yay, welcome. And any challenges you think she might face, both academic and the Dragon community?
I think that's an easy one because they're probably not much newer than my kids.
Exactly.
I got a 12th grader and a 7th grader.
That joined in October. That's right.
Yeah. So, you know, if I go back to the things we've talked about without trying to be redundant, it's a family, it's welcoming, it's people are kind, they're supportive. You know, we just had a new kid join in grade 10. I won't say the name. I took a little chance on him when we were looking at his admissions criteria, and I'm glad I took the chance. I've been checking on him several times a week. I just spoke to him again this morning in high school, and he's doing really well. He's landed on his feet. People are supporting him. Absolutely. And I think that's what your student would experience. If they're coming from a different curriculum or a very different school or a very different culture, will there be that shift? Yeah. Are they going to miss their friends? Of course. Are there going to be the days when they come home crying because it's new and it's different? Yeah. I haven't cried yet, actually. But it's all new for me still. Actually, I think I've got it. I think I'm past that. But, you know, I got to admit that there were times in October where you go home and you're like, oh, my God, I don't know where this is. I don't have my bank account set up yet. I don't have a credit card. I don't have my cedula. It can be overwhelming. That will happen to your child, but we'll help them get through that. And they're going to have a great experience here.
Like I said, we're in an international school, so we are used to, you know, the shift of students and their parents who are here for a little while, and then they have to, then they move on to another station. And so we're prepared for that. Our counselors are here to support, you know, our students are very aware and very welcoming to new friends, to new friendships, to welcoming new faces into our community. And it's pretty easy to become part of our community, I must say. Well, do we have any more questions? I think we went through our 4 points, and we don't want to I guess we could talk all day if we wanted to, but
we weren't sure if this is going to be a half an hour. We're pushing an hour.
I know, we're almost at an hour. I was worried, but no, there's no need to worry. But are there any more questions? We'll talk for a little bit, close it out until we see if anybody else has anything else to say, but or ask. But of course, please know, as part of being a family means that our doors are open. And so, you know, if you have a question, call. Set up an appointment. If you're over in our community, you know, stop by. If I have time, I will meet with you right away. And I know that Mr. Lentz and our other principals and part of our leadership team are there for you as well, because, you know, that's part of about being a family. We have our doors open and we're ready to support when needed. So let's see. I think we can wrap it up, Mr. Lentz. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
No, just building on what you just said, talking to parents and talking to kids is my favorite part of my job. Yes. So please, whether it's whether it's a compliment or a concern, my door is always open and you can talk to me anytime. So I really appreciate people joining, and I hope this was helpful.
Same. Have a great day, guys.
Hello again, amazing Dragon community. I would like to take this opportunity to talk to you about our amazing Nzuli Scholarship Program. From Panama, Balboa Academy is proud to launch the Nzuli Scholars Program, full international scholarships for exceptional students in any of the 118 schools around the 24 countries that belong to the Inspired Education Network.
Not all children have the economic means to study at a premier educational institution. I believe that the scholarships provided by the Inspired Network offer high impact opportunities for children around the world.
The Nzuli Scholarship Program is more than a scholarship. It's an opportunity to shape the leaders of tomorrow. You're one step away from transforming your life. Apply now. I really hope you guys take advantage of this. I would love to see some Nzuli scholars here at Balboa. Go Dragons.